Good morning, I'm Diane Macedo. Thanks for streaming with us. In today's update, airlines are getting ready to transport COVID-19 vaccines. The first vaccine expected to be approved must be kept that reach negative 94 degrees. And that vaccine can't come soon enough. The U.S. again hit new records for daily cases, hospitalizations, and deaths. And the CDC now estimates that as many as 329. Now California's governor is warning of another strict lockdown across central and southern California. Outdoor dining, playgrounds, and hair salons could all be closed within days if remaining ICU capacity falls below 15%. And job growth is slowing as the pandemic gets worse. The U.S. added 200. This is the smallest increase in jobs since May and well below the 638. Experts say a higher percentage of people wearing masks could significantly reduce deaths. The flames are being fueled by high winds strong enough to knock over a new announcement from Warner Brothers could be a game changer for Hollywood. The studio says all 17 of its 2021 films will be released in theaters and on HBO Max simultaneously for no extra charge to subscribers. Here's Will Reeve with more on that.
And everything will be different.
This morning, the battle lines are drawn. Others pulling off an unprecedented move in the pandemic, announcing all 17 of its fifth streaming service simultaneously for no extra charge to subscribers.
We're made of music.
And Dune, starring Timothée Chalamet, will all be available to watch from your couch at home, benefiting consumers. Bring statement saying while they agreed to an exception for Wonder Woman, vaccines are right around.
This announcement is going to change how every other studio releases their movies. There's no doubt about it.
ABC's parent company Disney has announced highly anticipated films like Pixar's Soul, starring Jamie Foxx, will premiere on Disney Plus on Christmas. Now this move from Warner Brothers taking the streaming wars to a new level.
If this goes on for a year, it's going to be really hard to put that genie back in the bottle.
In a statement, Warner Brothers acknowledged, quote, the reality that most theaters in the U.S. will strategy, quote, a unique one-year plan. Diane?
Will Reeve, thank you. Mike, thanks for joining us. Long time no talk, my friend. How much do you think
that we watch movies going forward? Consumer behavior patterns are changing. We're changing the way that we're sitting at home during this global pandemic, and we're used to receiving content now from the comforts of our couch. I think as more Americans and as consumers get comfortable with watching a show on Netflix or our favorite streaming platform, having our own food of choice, having our own beverage of choice, which isn't hitting us in the pockets for like $35, $40 for a bucket of popcorn and a soda, I think that we're going to start enjoying that a little bit more. And then the idea of trying to convince us to go from the couch to the movie theater is going to be that much more challenging. Because, Diane, what used to happen was the big studios used to save the big blockbusters for the theater releases. But if you're going to release Wonder Woman and other big budget films and the like at home, what is now the incentive to go to the theater as a whole? But I think, Diane, to the business side of it, that was the consumer side. From the business perspective, I actually take the approach that I'm actually glad to see Warner doing this. I think they recognize that the trend is coming. People will not be going back to theaters. And so instead of fighting it, trying to hold on to this old narrative, this old tradition of how we receive our content, they're trying to get ahead of it, trying to be more advanced to make sure that consumers get used to seeing their movies streaming and the likes in other ways.
And Mike, I am Team Couch, but my husband is a movie buff, and he cannot wait to be back in a theater with the big, giant, oversized bucket of popcorn and the whole ambiance of the people around him. Are there enough people like that out there to keep the movie theater industry alive once this pandemic is over?
Diana, I love your husband. I'm sure he's a great guy, but no.
Oh, no, he's going to be really mad at me and you for that.
Tell him I love him. But here's the thing. There's just not enough. Diane, when you think about it, televisions are getting so much more cheaper now. If you look at the Cyber Mondays, the Black Friday sales, you can get 50-inch televisions for around $150. The sound bars and the subwoofers that make that surround sound experience, they become so much more cheaper. You're seeing packages at $100, $200 max. So you're able to create the big sound effects that you were normally used to in a theater now in the comforts of your home. And think about it. If you invest $200 for a surround sound system, $150 $500 for a television, you're looking at still under $400. Over the course of a year, you're saving that much more by staying at home than you would purchasing a ticket, going to dinner, and buying the soda and the popcorn at home. So your savings end up much more on the better side for the consumer if you choose to stay at home. And I think this is why it's going to be a challenge. I don't see people going to theaters on a Friday night release in droves the way that we used to. There's something alluring about sitting at home now, and we're used to curating lifestyle, used to curating social distances with our friends in our own home now. And so it's going to be the challenge to get us back into the theaters. But I think they're taking a cue, Diane, from the music business. If you remember, LimeWire, Napster, the music business didn't see the innovation coming. They tried to fight the wave. They tried to sue their way out of it to get people to go back to purchasing CDs on a Tuesday. Well, you see now, we release music on Fridays on digital streaming. But think about that, Diane. If they would have caught up to the innovation and caught up to consumer behavior trends early on, the music business might have a better bottom line, a cushion, than what they do now. Film watch that. The studios are noticing that, and they're saying, hey, instead of fighting what's happening due to global pandemic, why don't we embrace it, be innovative, so that we can increase our bottom line?
All right, the studios may be embracing it, but the theater change, not so much. AMC Theaters already put out a statement saying they're not happy with this decision and that they're going to be doing whatever they can to preserve their economics. Now, theaters have already taken a huge hit during this pandemic. So what does this all mean for their future?
Diane, that's why I love you. You always bring so many sides of the coin to such important topics. Yes, I was talking about the consumer side. Yes, we talked about the studios, but we forget a lot of those theaters, some of them are independent distributors. Some of them are in small towns like where I'm from, Lansing, Michigan, and we forget that they're being hit, their income. We're also too forgetting that a lot of these concession stand jobs are first jobs for high school students, right? These are first jobs for people who are looking for employment. So this does actually have a ripple effect to the local economy aspect of it, from individuals being able to have a chance to work. And also too, although we think about those theaters, because Diane, they take up such large square footages, there's still a very small business dynamic when you really think about it in the long run. And so distributors are going to take a very hard hit. There is no if, then, or buts about it. There's no way I can spend that. That is the harsh reality. And so what they need to do, Diane, is find a way to be innovative as well. They can't sue their way out of this. Again, we saw what happened in the music business. When you protest and when you sue, you end up having to succumb. So what I will encourage those distributors to start doing is finding ways to be innovative with the space that they have and find a ways to create more innovative digital technology and content to bring maybe a hybrid system that is both streaming and some type of physical space where people can receive the content.
And then finally, the other streaming services, should we expect similar announcements down the line?
Absolutely. I think we're now going to be in a fight of streaming, right? Because you have Disney Plus, you have Hulu, you have Amazon, now you have HBO Max, who's really making a huge play lately with the content that they'll be receiving. So you're going to start seeing streaming services really go at each other in a very competitive way. But that's good for there's two advantages of that, Diane. That's good for the consumer, right? Because we get cheaper subscriptions, because when you start subscribing to Disney, Hulu, Amazon, Netflix, that adds up to your monthly subscription. So I believe we're going to start seeing a competitive pricing structure begin to go down due to competition. But the other side, Diane, that we haven't talked about is the content creators, right? In particular, content creators who are women, in particular content creators who are people to get people to go from their homes to the theaters. But now if you're watching it on the streaming site and you can get it on demand, people are more than likely willing to take a chance on new content creators and new film titles and new projects. But also too, people are curious to explore content because we are sitting at home. And after that 2-hour film ends, you're looking for more, right? And so you may then start exploring your curiosity.
You do always find the bright spot for me. Mike Muse, one of the many things we love about you. Thank you. 25 years since the singer Selena was murdered at the height of her music career, but nearly 3 decades later, she is still as popular as ever. This morning, her family is speaking.
Those iconic bustiers, the purple dress, and that voice. Mexican-American force that dominated Latin music charts in the 90s. But then, suddenly, it all came to a tragic end. Now, 25 years after her death, her family speaking out in an ABC News exclusive as a new Netflix series takes on the lives of the Quintanillas before they hit it big.
I think that it's going to show a lot of our where we were before she left us.
Late at night when she was murdered by one of her employees, a close friend.
It's hard to believe that it's been 25 years. What's the impact of that kind of tragedy on this family?
Death is a very painful thing, especially if it's your child. And it's a pain that will be there till we pass away.
For the past 2 decades, the Quintanillas have worked tirelessly to preserve her legacy, producing the movie Selena in 1997.
Anything for Selena!
And now Netflix is set to air a 20-episode series about the Quintanilla kids who would become Los Dinos.
On the road with Selena y Los Dinos.
But not without controversy. Many online unhappy with The Walking Dead's Christian Serrato's cast in the iconic role, claiming she doesn't look like the star. A similar reaction to when another actress stepped into Selena's shoes more than 20 years ago.
When J-Lo played the part of Selena, there was some criticism because she's Puerto Rican.
Here in our office in the front, people were protesting. How dare you pick a Puerto Rican?
One thing I feel really bad about Christian is that she's coming into not only having to portray Selena, but also Jennifer. Selena was kind of like a role model for her as well, and for a lot of Latinas. So she said that she was hoped that she did her justice, and I think she did.
The Texas native spearheaded a movement of Tejano music, bringing it into the mainstream. And she's still as popular as ever. Her makeup line sold in more than 50 countries. And according to Billboard, her Ones album, released in 2002, hit #1 for the first time earlier this year on the vinyl charts. Billboard then naming her one of the greatest Latin artists of all time.
Why do you think she remains so popular to this very day?
I've always said that in Selena's case, it was not just the artist, but the person.
What you saw is what you got, you know? She was funny. She had this amazing laughter, and she had this amazing charisma to make everyone feel like if they knew her for a very long time.
And the amazing thing is that people still know her so well. You know, back in 1995, I covered Selena's funeral here in Texas. And little did I know then that I would be back here 25 years later, still talking about Selena's popularity and her impact. Hers is truly a beautiful legacy. Diane?
It sure is, John. All I have to do is hear her name and I can have her song stuck in my head all day. Thanks for that. And that does it for this ABC News Live update. I'm Diane Macedo. Thanks for joining us. And remember, ABC News Live is here for you all day with the latest news, context, and analysis. I'll see you back here at 3 p.m. Eastern with Terry Moran for the breakdown.
This morning, 7,500 Pan Am employees suddenly are out of work, and the company is planning to auction off just about everything it owns. After a decade of struggling to try to survive, Pan Am is suddenly out of business, and the end came rather quickly. ABC's Stephen Ogg has the story.
From its beginnings in 1927, Pan Am was America's airline of firsts, history's first scheduled international flight. Its flying boats flew the first trans-Pacific and transatlantic scheduled service. It was first with jets, it was first with jumbo jets. But when Pan Am died yesterday, it simply stopped flying, leaving passengers stranded.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.